take the results off screen because already we've got the next guys coming out. So very little gaps between the races because, of course, now the races are taking longer to happen because everybody's going slower in these wet conditions. So we'll see the juniors again a little bit later on this afternoon, but now we turn our attentions for the next couple of races to the seniors, and there you can see the start grid up on screen for race 9. This is Group B versus Group C, based on what they did in qualifying yesterday. And Dries van Teur, who was second quickest overall, gets the pole for this race, and he is going to be in the 249 kart. Guan Yu Zhu, the junior Euro Rotax champion of last year, up to seniors now, and winning a race earlier on today. He's going to be a stiff competition, isn't he, on the outside of that front row. Josh Price, who's been very quick so far this weekend, but had a bit of a disaster in the earlier race. He's on row 2 with Philip Hamprecht. Connor Jupp and Piers Lehane both had to fight their way back up the order after difficulties early on this morning, but they are going to be on the 3rd row of the grid. Ralph Aron, who we've heard from a couple of times today, they're in 7th place. 8th on the grid, hopefully, is Jack Bartholomew. They had dramas with the kart. We heard some sort of exhaust issue, which meant they weren't able to even start the race earlier on. But Jack Bartholomew, very quick driver, should be hopefully on the 4th row of the grid. Luke Knott, who went well earlier on, is going to be up there in the top 10 as well. And Tom Grice rounds out the top 10. So that's the way they're going to start the top 10 starters here. There's going to be 26 karts on the grid altogether, and one just coming out of the holding area now, looking to join late by the looks of it. So one or two joining in late, but they'll have time to get onto the back of this because there are 2 formation laps, and we should have, all being well, the full house of 26 karts. But there's at least one driver that only just came out onto the track and missed the first formation lap, so they will really have to work a little bit extra hard now to try and generate a bit more heat into the tyres. Just to remind you that this next race is going to be 9 laps. So it's 9
Chris,
laps
just to pick up what you've just said, it was the Norwegian lady, Marie Bakken, who had assistance to start, so she's going to have to start at the back. She can't regain her 9th row position.
Okay, thanks, Ken. So that's the way it's going to line up. Just starting to bunch up the field now then are the 2 front row drivers. Dries van Teur has got the dark wetsuit on and the dark helmet. He's in kart number 249 if you're watching online. Guan Yu Zhu is alongside him, the green and white colours of Tony Kart and Strawberry Racing, and the white and blue helmet at the front of the field. Philip Hamprecht is easy to spot from the 2nd row of the grid because he's got the bright green helmet, and also easy to spot is Josh Price because he's got predominantly a bright pink helmet as well. So those are the top 4 on the grid. Going through turn 13 now. You can see the dots of water on the camera lens down there after that heavy rain that we had. But it has eased off now. Here they come then out of the last turn. Are we going to get a clean start first time? Let's have a look. Looks like we are. The 9-lap race gets underway. Terrific start for Dries van Teur from the inside row. He's going to take the whole inside row with him as well. I think Josh Price and probably Connor Jupp are going to make up places here. It's Josh Price who comes out as the race leader, I reckon. So Josh Price comes through and gets the lead of the race. Is it Dries van Teur in the mix as well? And then we're going to have Philip is in 4th place. I think it could be Connor Jupp in the middle of that lot in 3rd position. We'll wait and see when they come back around. But the inside row got a much better start.
Well, I did think it was Philip Hamprecht when you called him, actually, Chris, but not easy to tell from this point. I thought you'd made the call accurately.
You think he's 4th, but he's about to become 3rd anyway.
Indeed.
So down the hill coming out of turn 8, but he runs wide again. Which of the pink helmets is going to get to us first? Dries van Teur, or is it going to be Josh Price? And yeah, I was right. It is Josh Price. And it's Piers Lehane that's come through to 2nd place. Wasn't really expected to see him up there just yet, but Piers through to 2nd place already. Dries van Teur made a great start. Quite why he wasn't able to hold the lead, I'm not sure, but he's ended up down in 3rd place, I think.
Was that not Connor Jupp 2nd?
So we'll see when they come back down. They're going down the hill now. And Connor Jupp looked to have made a good start. And Dries van Teur definitely looked like he made a good start off the line. He went into the first corner as the leader, but he came out of the corner and we lost a couple of places at least. A change for 3rd coming into turn 13 as Philip Hamprecht dives at the inside. So it's going to be a big lead for Josh Price at the end of the first lap. Piers Lehane 2nd, then Hamprecht, and then it's Ralph Aron. Ralph Aron, who was the driver in 3rd place. He's 4th now. Guan Yu Zhu has dropped to 5th. Luke Knott is 6th. And Tom Grice coming through next, in just about inside the top 6. So Don't forget to watch out for Avo Talvar as well, because the Estonian started at the back in the first race and came charging all the way through the field.
Finished fourth and was given third on the back of Michael Kuhl's disqualification from third.
That's right, up to third place from, 27th on the grid, I think it was, wasn't it? So watch for him, because he's already made up at least 10 to 12 places. Somebody's had a spin going up the hill.
Chris, can I just cut in? Pierce Lehane in 8th place, a driving standards flag.
Driving standards flag for Pierce. Yes, he dropped back at the end of that lap, didn't he? He went into the last couple of corners of the first lap, up in the top 3 or 4, but he's dropped back just outside the top 6 now. Josh Price leads. No, he is there. Pierce, Conor Jupp there in 2nd place. And Philip Hamprecht 3rd. Ralph Aron still 4th. Guan Yu Zhou still there in 5th place. And then you've got Luke Knott 6th. Tom Grice, who was one to watch in the earlier race as well. Tom Grice went very well to finish 2nd earlier on today. He's in the mix. The sunshine's just trying to break through now as the rain stops, but the track's still very, very greasy. Here's Conor Jupp coming through in 2nd place then. What's his lap time like compared to the race leader? The race leader, 1:28.1, 1:28.7. 1:28.8 for the leader, 1:28.7 for Conor Jupp. So Conor is just starting to catch the leader here, Ken.
Well, I'm just trying to weigh up this. Do you think it's possibly the case that Josh Price is aware of the lead that he's got and he's just sort of driving within himself just that little bit conservatively? Because I thought that maybe he'd just eased a little. Conor Jupp is about 24 kart lengths, 25 kart lengths behind. Oh, and Conor Jupp going very, very wide, and that's worked. The sweeping outside slingshot, so to speak, but momentarily it did look as if he might have been under threat from your 3rd place driver, kart number 259, Ralph Aron.
Yeah, Ralph's got back ahead of Philip Hamprecht,
hasn't he? Yeah.
At the end of the previous lap. So Ralph Aron flying in 3rd place, actually.
And as I say, just momentarily looked as if he might have been sniffing out a 2nd place. And Chris, just to give us the all-weather situation, the sun begins to shine.
Yeah, it's a bit mixed, isn't it? Mechanic's nightmare, this. What tyre?
Those of you tuning in online don't think so, because that picture is really as grim as it could be. But believe me, there is some sunshine breaking through.
Yeah, there certainly is. So over the line with 7 laps to go goes the race leader, Josh Price. In the wars a bit in the race earlier on. He needs a good result here. He's making it happen. Conor Jupp in 2nd place, but coming under attack now from Ralph Aron, the Estonian, in 3rd place. That's the one to watch, 2nd and 3rd. Climbing up the hill now through turn 3, 4, 5 and 6 they go. And the gap between them coming down all the time. Philip Hamprecht is losing touch with them in 4th place. In 5th place you've got Guan Yu Zhou, who won one of the races earlier on. Pierce Lane's back to 6th now, so he's gone up. Also making a place up on that lap was Tom Grice. He's back to 7th. Luke Knott is 8th. Jack Webrin is 9th, and 10th is Alessandro Trombei. From the back of the field, Avo Talvar's up to 12th place in the number 238 kart. So Avo Talvar going well. Sun shining now pretty brightly as they go down into the hairpin at turn 10. There's the leader, Josh Price. There's the gap back to 2nd, Conor Jupp. Right behind him, you can see there in 3rd place, just coming out of the hairpin, is Ralph Aron. And last time around, Ralph Aron was much quicker than Conor Jupp by about nearly 0.3 of a second quicker, wasn't he? So Ralph closing the gap, Ken.
Yeah, and just Jack Webrin losing 9th place to Alessandro Trombelli on that lap, I think, and he'd had gained it, so that was a trading and retrade, so to speak. And as I've mentioned previously, quite like to see Alessandro Trombelli do reasonably well. They're rather precious as Italians. We don't have many race with us.
Dries Van Teur dropped to the back of the field on the previous lap, but he's started to get back up the order now. He's 18th.
Yeah, Dries Van Teur, this is going to be an interesting test, Chris.
Just looking at Conor Jupp there, who had to really make a very, very wide cut there coming out through turn 1, because Ralph Aron was right alongside him, but Conor's held the place, still in 2nd. But look how it's allowing the 4th place car to Philip Hamprecht to just begin to reel them in.
If Hamprecht could find some form, find some speed here, he could have a punt at 3rd or even 2nd place, couldn't he? We've only got we're only about at the half race distance, so there's still plenty to go in this one. 4.5 laps gone, 4.5 to go.
Now this is going to be a test for the drivers, because this track is going to start to get drier. It's not going to be dry. It's still going to be wet and slippy, but it's going to be grippier and grippier because the rain has stopped now, and they're going to have to adapt their driving each and every corner almost. Brake at that bit later because there's more grip. Get on the accelerator a bit keener. Maybe change the lines through the corners. They're going to have to start pushing a bit more now because that grip will get better and better as the race goes on. You can't keep doing the same things on lap 6 that you were doing on lap 1 because the track's changing, and you've got to up your pace to suit that track. Otherwise, somebody else behind is going to figure it out and catch you up. And Josh Price looking very, very smooth at the head of the field as he comes out back onto the start-finish straight. He's going to have something like a 2.5 second lead with 4 laps to go.
Well, Chris, you make an obvious point worth making about a drier line emerging, but we have both said in commentary there's a wide choice of lines, and as the track begins to dry, there's no one obvious line at the moment. It may well be that as it gets drier, we shall see that emerge. As it is at present, Josh Price's margin of 2.2 seconds, give or take, looks relatively secure, and you would feel that Conor Jupp's margin of 1.28 over Ralph Aron was reasonably secure, but Ralph Aron has said, look, I'm sniffing another place here, and so he is. Behind him, Philip Hamprecht's margin is about 0.05, so there's plenty still to be raced for. We are in the second half of this race, 4 laps remaining, including the one that they're on. But as it stands, the top 10, all well spread, no obvious point at which I can suggest we keep an eye out for a passing move at the moment.
Something that Sean Babington said to me on Friday, actually, was that the juniors, the seniors and the DD2s take some quite different lines through some of the corners, which means there are different areas of the corner with rubber on them, where the black rubber gets laid down where the racing line is. You don't want to be on that line in the wet sometimes because that sheeny surface of rubber gets very, very, very slippery when the water comes on it. So what Sean was saying was you have to take some very weird lines through some of the corners to try and keep off that line of rubber that maybe the juniors lay down or the seniors on a slightly different line. So he says you're sort of weaving in and around some very odd lines through the corners, not necessarily taking the shortest route through the turns.
Good point, Chris. Now, do we get a challenge for second and third? Well, we get the challenge, but we don't get it executed. But I have to say, I don't want to take sides, and I'm with Conor Jupp in terms of how well he's driving and deserving of second place, but you just feel that Ralph Aron, I'm looking at the numbers, a 128.0 from Ralph Aron as against a 128.4 from Conor Jupp. And you just feel, and those numbers are rather confirming it, that Ralph Aron, if he could find the line, as you've just referred to, Chris, that he's very much up for having a punt for second place.
But he's got to watch Philip Hamprecht behind him because Philip's on that same sort of pace now. Last time around, 128.5 for Josh Price, the leader, 128.4 for Conor Jupp in second, 128.0 for Ralph Aron, and a 128.5 for Philip Hamprecht. But Philip on this lap certainly looks to be on the same pace as Ralph. So third and fourth, much quicker than second at the moment. And Conor Jupp's going to have to keep his senses about him here with just about 2 laps to go out of the final corner. With 2 more laps to go then in this race, Josh Price goes through looking very comfortable. Conor Jupp looking slightly less comfortable now because he's got this third and fourth place duel coming onto his tail with Ralph Aron and Philip Hamprecht. Guan Yu Zhu and Piers Lehane still don't have much between them in 5th and 6th positions. 7th is Grice. Avo Talvar is 8th.
And I was just going to say, Chris, Avo Talvar, having got all the way up to 8th, a lot harder work than in his first race, but he will be feeling, look, I can even go further than this, because 8th with a lap and 3/4 to go, he may well feel even 7th or 6th is within his sight. Trying to keep my eye on Arvo, but I couldn't find him when I was last trying to watch him for a lap.
Jack Werprint going well as well in 9th, Collignon is 10th. Dries van Teur has fought his way back up to 11th place now, so he's come back well. Luke Knott must have had a moment earlier in the race as well to drop near the back of the field, but he's coming back up to 14th position. Abdullah Al-Rahawi, I think, had a bad start to the race. He started to gain some places as well. He's another one moving up the order, but he's still only in 18th place, the Omani, having had a very good drive earlier on today in tricky conditions. Josh Price then coming down the hill, down through the kink and down towards the hairpin at turn 12. Under braking, it looks pretty stable. Conor Jupp, to me, looks like he's on the same sort of pace as the race leader now, and he's pulled back away from Ralph Aron. who takes a mega tight line through turn 13.
Hamprecht experimenting with some extravagant lines, trying to get this fourth into third. I don't think it's worked either in terms of the passing move or the distance between them.
He's going to have a look at the inside into turn 1 though, because Philip Hamprecht got a wonderful run coming out onto the start-finish straight. He closed, he thought about it, he didn't quite have enough legs to do it though, and had to back off out of it at the end, but it was a really long, hard look at the inside. It's still Ralph Aron though, Ken, who runs in third place, but they've now been caught by Guan Yu Zhu and Piers Lehane, so suddenly those two are on the tail.
Plenty on, isn't there? And both Philip Hamprecht and Philip Hamprecht and Ralph Aron stepping up from juniors. We've said it earlier today, it can be a big step up, and it's certainly a big step up when you're in difficult conditions. Both of these youngsters acquitting themselves well on their debut season in seniors. But with half a lap to go, let's do justice to Josh Price. His lead is 1 3/4 seconds, or his lead was 1 3/4 seconds over Connor Jupp. Ralph Aron, Philip Hamprecht and Guan Yu Zhou completing the top 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yes, and the 6th place driver, Piers Lehane.
Keep your eye on this third place battle down into the hairpin. Philip Hamprecht closing right up to the tail of Ralph Aron. Looks at the inside coming out of the corner, but not going to get through there. He might try this wide line again through turn 13. It might cost him a place. It does. Guan Yu Zhu gets up the inside of him, but then drops back coming out of the corner. So briefly, Guan Yu Zhu 4th, but he'll drop back to 5th as Josh Price wins the race. Look at them, side by side over the line as Hamprecht tried to get back ahead of Aron there for 3rd. There was only a fraction of a second between them as they crossed the line. But in the end, it all stayed as it was, with Connor Jupp 2nd, Ralph Aron 3rd, Philip Hamprecht 4th, and Guan Yu Zhu just behind them in 5th, Piers Lehane in 6th place.
Well, it does stay as it was, but doesn't that result between those two guys just reflect certainly the second half of the race, if not the entire race? And I think if we say Philip Hamprecht and Ralph Aron, guys, thank you very much for a great dice between you two.
Yeah, it was good clean scrap, wasn't it? Good driving, but wonderful win there from Josh Price. I thought he drove really well from the start to the finish, and so too did Connor Jupp, who had quite a bit of pressure with a couple of laps to go and reacted really well to it and pulled back away from Aron and Hamprecht. So, and a word for Dries Vanthoor as well, who started on pole, had a good start initially, dropped down the order early on in the race and fought his way back up into the top 10 in the end to round out 10th place. So the seniors on a drying track. There's another senior race to come after this, but I don't think they're going to be thinking too much about slick tyres just yet. Looks to me to be too slippery to even consider it. There's the results. Josh Price with the family-run team, Price Racing, in the race win there. 1.5 seconds clear of Connor Jupp, who drives for Dan Holland Racing. Ralph Aron, his teammate, 3rd. Philip Hamprecht 4th, Guan Yu Zhu 5th, Piers Lehane 6th, Tom Grice 7th, Avo Talvar from the back to 8th this time. In 9th place, Jack Weprin. In 10th, Dries Vanthoor, recovering in the second half of the race. Corentin Collignon was 11th, Alessandro Trombelli was 12th, Eva Benes was 13th, Luke Knott 14th, Sebastian Leguay 15th, Savannah Courtney 16th, Abdullah Al-Wahawi 17th, and Hannes Tempera in 18th place there. So 3 Estonians in the top 18 in that race, 2 of them coming in the top 10. So that was the results for the front runners there. Top 18, 1.5 seconds advantage. Josh Price never really looked under threat, did he? There's the rest of the results. Cecile Martini and Petra Zhikokinin making it into the top 20 from Mark Moore, Vincent Fraze, Konstantin Scholl. Jack Bartholomew was a lap down in the end, so didn't manage to have a very good result. He's having a frustrating day so far.